Hello, everybody. This is just a quick segment between myself and Anthony Milne regarding the recent news that's been going on surrounding Chelsea that our lonely daddy Drinkwater has not played in 4 games yet for his new Turkish side club, not even been picked for the squad. No, I'm joking. It's about Frank Lampard being sacked because that happened. So, Anne, I suppose you're going to be asking me the questions today.
So, first reaction, Matt, mainly because Stephen is not here. Per showing from Stephen. Matt, you were a fan of Frank Lampard being signed. You liked what he was doing last season. What are your thoughts with his sacking now? Do you think good idea, bad idea, disappointed?
So I can kind of see both sides, and I also see short term and long term. Short term, is it a way to perhaps pick up results faster and better? Probably. Long term, it's more annoying because the whole point of bringing Frank Lampard in was that it was going to be a long process, and it wasn't going to take a year and a half to get the team immediate success. So for me personally, I was Lampard in. I didn't want to sack him, but at the same time, like I've said before, he didn't help his case because some of his kind of decision making for me wasn't good enough. But long term, I mean, yeah, I mean, it was most Chelsea fans were along with were on board with the process that it was going to take what 3, 4, 5 years, like it did with Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't come overnight. And for me, I look back to last season. I mean, one of the big games for me, where up because obviously I was at the game, was when we lost to Liverpool at home. But even after the game, I mean, even though we'd lost, I mean, the stadium were up on their feet because I think that's when people realised because we played a really good game. And I think people realised from that this was going to be a process and this wasn't going to happen overnight. So it's a shame it's gone back on it now. And yeah, we're kind of back to square one, really. New manager and whatever, 10 in 10 years. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows the story.
Yeah, I'd say it's interesting because almost at any other club, Lampard would have got the time. Like if you look at Liverpool with Klopp, you look at United with Ollie, even,
Yeah,
they have done much better since he came in. I know Mourinho did got trophies, but they're playing better football. The whole team seems better. So I think it's mainly Chelsea as a whole. They are a team that do not have. They're a team that are known to not have much patience for managers. Chelsea aren't really
absolutely.
afforded the time. Um, do do we think it was down to Lampard's poor decision making, or do you think a lot of the new signings let him down, or what do you think is at fault mainly for this decision? Because obviously the
Um,
results were not great, but was it down to the manager or down to the players not performing for the manager?
I mean, yeah, you get so many rumors that come out. Since he's been sacking, there's been so many rumors coming out saying that he didn't have a great relationship with Marina Grovskia, or I can't pronounce her surname, with Marina, who's obviously the embodiment of Abramovich in the UK right now. And obviously, there were reports some players were unhappy. The players are always unhappy at some stage at Chelsea. They all sort of come to arms, and it's easier to sack one person than sack an entire squad.
Yeah,
Um,
especially when a team's not doing
but
well, the players tend to be extremely
yeah,
unhappy.
yeah. And the problem is a leopard doesn't change its spots, and Roman Abramovich is known for sacking managers when they're not
Yeah.
getting results. And if you think about it, it was literally just a month of poor results, and they were poor. For me, Lampard didn't help himself because he didn't show that he had a sign of a plan B. Because we were going into every game still playing a 4-3-3, which clearly wasn't working. The games
Mm-hmm.
that we did win, we weren't exactly convincing in them. So it was pretty clear something needed changing. I was
Yeah,
saying to I was saying to a
and
friend of mine that we need to change to a back three. Because that's the way we normally have played better over the last 3, 4, 5 years.
mhm.
And then obviously Tuchel's come in and he's played a back three, and so far we haven't conceded a goal out of the 2 games. So that's positive. But yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, I was going to say with regards to the per month, because in November, people were still talking about Chelsea being a title contender. The start of the season with all these signings, people were going, oh, Chelsea will finish. It's going to be between the 3 teams. It's going to be Liverpool, City, Chelsea. Um,
Yeah, I
and
was optimistic.
yeah, and like I say, I had a feeling there'd be these teething problems with some of the new signings. I didn't expect them to be as bad as they were. Like I expected Havertz to struggle the most because of his age, but I really expected more for Timo Werner. I won't lie. I know he's had good games, but you brought him in to score goals, and he's not been scoring.
I mean, you just watch Werner. I mean, the bloke couldn't score in a brothel at the moment. He literally just he can't score. Everything he does is just wrong. It's really sad to see, actually, because it's like I feel sorry for the bloke. I mean, again, there was a chance in the game the other day where he's gone for the shot and he's just mistimed it and it's bounced off him and gone the other way.
He's just an expensive Origi.
Yeah, well, yeah. Origi looked great, didn't he, apparently, the other day?
Second half against West Ham, he looked really good. He didn't look great in the first half, but he looked good in the second.
Yeah,
so, Lampard's out. The club legend himself, the beloved man of many a child, is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And in to replace him is former Dortmund and PSG manager, was it? I can't even remember his first name. Thomas Tuchel.
Thomas Tuchel, I think.
Tuchel.
It.
Yeah.
Sadly, we ain't got Stephen here.
Yeah, the expert. He's not got the same kind of resume as past managers who arrive in the Premier League, but he's not exactly a nobody. He's got some experience at top teams, but he's not the same as Ancelotti arriving or Guardiola or even Klopp to an extent. But at this point in the season, was there really anyone else that could have been got in? I didn't see it because it was very quick. The turnaround from Lampard going and Tuchel coming in. It was like a day, I think. So
the problem is, at this time of the year, who is there to get in? You either take a punt with someone who's kind of inexperienced as much, or you do what Chelsea have done. They've gone for Tuchel because he was around, and obviously they haven't given him a long contract. They're going to just see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Then they don't have to extend it if they don't want to. I mean, and I suppose he wouldn't be my preferred choice, but it was a safe option because obviously he's been at PSG. He's been at Dortmund. He won the league with PSG, but then again, I could probably win the league managing PSG.
But he did get PSG to the
so
Champions League final, didn't he? He did get into the Champions League final.
Yeah. I like so far his personality. He seems very optimistic and positive, so that's good.
Do we think he's long term, or do we think in the summer Chelsea will be going for someone else?
I think he'll probably stay. I mean, obviously, it probably depends where we finish in the table. If we get top 4, he'll definitely stay. Maybe even 5th, he might stay. But again, it also depends. Thing is, we talk about is Chelsea are always already like arranging things before they're known. So Lampard sacking, I think that they were arranging that for a couple of weeks beforehand.
Yeah.
So it depends. I mean, you never know. They might even sniff up somebody like Brendan Rodgers, for example, in the summer if things aren't going well. But I think now we'll probably.
Do you think Brendan would leave Leicester for Chelsea right now?
Right now, no.
No, but even in the summer, do you think he'd still leave Leicester for Chelsea?
I think he probably would in the summer if Chelsea came knocking. Just based on the fact that he obviously started at Chelsea and also would offer more money.
There's that. But obviously there's the extra pressure and he's not got as much freedom because Chelsea, Abramovich is a tyrant. He's a dictator. Let's be real.
Yeah, of course. But Brendan Rodgers is fully aware of that.
So I think it depends. Who, if you could pick, right, besides any of the other managers from top 6 teams, because even though I'm pretty sure there's only 3 you'd take. If in the summer, who would be your hopeful recruit to arrive at Chelsea to turn this around?
Well, firstly, I'd keep Thomas Tuchel if it goes well, because you've got to hand it to him if it does.
Yeah.
If it didn't go well and we did start looking for somebody else, then my first choice would be Brendan Rodgers.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you would have went for Mini Mourinho.
Nagelsmann would be up there, but again, that's a risk. It's a risk. I think Brendan Rodgers has done a really good job at Leicester, and he did a really good job before that at Celtic. And I think he's only going to get better. Obviously, Liverpool it didn't work out, but I think
he did well at Celtic. He's doing really well at Leicester. Yeah. Rodgers he's not a great manager. Like you could tell, he didn't quite have the team on board at Liverpool, but he's a good tactician. He's just not very good at the interacting with his players' side.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't see Rodgers hugging players the way Klopp does or talking to them the way Guardiola does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, if you want someone for that, then you could always bring in an assistant like John Terry, for him or someone like that.
I mean, he's more known for getting close to the players' families as opposed to the players.
Yeah, no, but in all seriousness, the thing with JT is that he's a natural born leader. And obviously, I wouldn't want him as manager yet because he might just turn out to be like Frank Lampard Part 2.
Whereas Terry's currently managing now, isn't he? He's managing the chat, or is he assistant manager?
No, he's still assistant at Villa.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I thought he'd left assistant at Villa to go for a job in the Championship.
No. He's still at Villa. And Villa are doing okay. The thing is, Chelsea have struggled ever since John Terry left the club because I think he had such a big impact.
I think Chelsea's problem is a lot like Man City's until recently, but they're throwing money at a situation as opposed to like the recruitment isn't exactly brilliant. Their youth recruitment's great, but when you look at like all the signings you brought in this season, and realistically, none of them have really been, where you went, that was a great piece of business for players doing really well.
It's hard because some of the signings were Lampard signings and some of the signings were the board signings.
That's the thing. You need someone just in charge of signings.
And this is the other thing, because Conte, he fell out with the board because he wasn't having control of signings, and that's happened to others as well before. I think Mourinho. Obviously, they've brought in Petr Cech to kind of be this kind of middle man between manager and board.
He's what is Petr Cech's official role? Is he director of football the same way Michael Edwards is at Liverpool?
Yeah, he's director of football, I think.
I think that's the way the game's going.
Petr Cech's a very intelligent man.
I think that's where the game's going because it's how American sports are run. And if there's one mod, it's not big in the Premier League, but it's big in Germany. But if you look at Liverpool, they've got a really good model of it. But do we see a massive overhaul? Do we think if Tuchel stays, we're going to see a few players who've only been there a year or two out the door, and then a whole new slew of signings again? Or do we think he's just going to try and work with what he's got?
No, it looks to me it's the complete opposite. I mean, it looks to me like first name on the team sheet against Tottenham Thursday night's going to be Marcus Alonso, who I never thought would play for Chelsea again.
I saw Mason Mount was dropped in the first game.
Mount was dropped in the first game, but he came on and made a big impact. And then obviously he played in the last game against Burnley, and he was, in my opinion, our best player next to Hudson-Odoi. So definitely Mount's ahead of Havertz, like 100%.
Yeah. Do we think Havertz and Timo Werner and such their long-term futures at Chelsea, or do we think Chelsea will be looking to offload one of them?
No, they'll keep him for now.
Havertz was a big fee, and he really hasn't delivered.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. But again, I still think Havertz can become good. I just think he genuinely just needs more time to get.
I honestly think Havertz is in the wrong team. If that makes sense. When he signed for Chelsea, to me, it didn't seem like. I thought Havertz was a player that is good, but in the right environment.
I was told he was the German Kaká, so I'm yet to see that. But
that's what I think. It's the team he's in. If that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe the manager. Maybe he didn't have a great relationship with Frank, and that affected him.
The problem is he came in and he plays the exact kind of role as Mason Mount, and for me, Mason Mount's much better at it.
Yeah, well, that's the point. Like to me, Chelsea had much deeper issues they needed than another attacking midfield player.
No, and it's like we said at the time, it was just kind of a big statement signing.
Yeah, which are always hit or miss. They either look great or they're not. And to be honest, like you either get Ronaldo for Real Madrid, or you get I don't know, Andy Carroll to Liverpool.
Yeah.
You get statement or Torres to Chelsea. You get statement signings, and you get statement signings.
The one for Chelsea at the moment, who I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually leave in the summer, would be N'Golo Kante. Actually, I could see him maybe getting shipped out at some stage.
Where to? Do you think that?
Oh, he'd go maybe PSG. He could go.
Madrid. Yeah, PSG. I see, to be honest, because he is French. He'll be closer at home.
He's 29 now as well. To be fair.
Yeah, he's still in his prime, especially with the way football seems to be going. I don't even think 30 now is considered, like, you know how it used to be once a player hits 30, they're towards the downwards. You got players still playing until 38 at high levels now.
Well, Thiago Silva's doing it at 36.
Yeah, James Milne is 35 this year.
Yeah. Ibrahimovic,
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You know, so I honestly think now players, you don't really start worrying about them until they hit 32, 33. I don't think you'll see them retiring now to 35, 36, whereas it used to be 33, 34 was really, that was the cut-off age. Or if you did want to go play, you went and played somewhere where it wasn't as intense.
Yeah.
Um,
It'll be interesting how we play against Spurs on Thursday, because obviously this is probably the best time to be playing Tottenham so far this season, because
yeah, they're in a bit of a rut now as well, aren't they?
so, and Marcus Alonso loves a goal against Tottenham, so we'll see how that goes. It's funny that Chilwell was brought in to replace Alonso, and now Alonso's ended up replacing his replacement.
Yeah, so right, since it's now been over half the season, I want to give each signing a grade. Okay, this is the last bit, because obviously this is the legacy of Lampard's time at Chelsea now. It's the signings he brought in and how good they've been over long term. So we'll start from the goalkeeper up. Okay. So Mendy.
B, because he started well, but it went in a bit of a slump, and he can be quite dodgy at times, to be fair. But the eventually, at first, he was keeping clean sheets.
But what is he an improvement on Kepa, or is it some?
He's an improvement on Kepa.
Okay. If I forget anyone, you have to remind me, because I know there was the young centre back you signed and put out on loan straight away. So obviously we can't talk about him. Thiago Silva.
A-, because our defense would be much worse without him.
I'd probably say that's fair, especially because it's free. Like, yeah, you're still paying him large wages,
but
he is a free at the end of the day. And then Ben Chilwell.
B-, again, started well, drifted a bit in the last 2 or 3 games. And obviously now it looks like Alonso might be ahead of him. Although I'd argue Chilwell would be a perfect left wing back, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. I still think he'll get ahead of him eventually. So yeah, I'll go B+.
But how much was it? 50 million?
B-.
Ben Chilwell?
C+.
50 million, or was it more?
Started off well, but again, he's just gone into free fall lately. He's done nothing. And it was a big statement that Thomas Tuchel left him out of the squad completely for the last game, which is the right decision, and that's good management. If you're not willing to put in work, then you're not making the squad. Yeah, of course. So yeah, a bit of a dip.
Now your 2 big ones, Kai Havertz.
Unfortunately, it's got to be. I'm going to say D- because he scored against some championship teams. But yeah, not good from Havertz.
So, and lastly, the big one, the one that Chelsea fans were raving about, which just swooped in under Liverpool's noses to get him. Timo Werner from RB Leipzig.
It's got to be a D. It's got to be a D. I think at first he showed signs that he can play. He definitely can play. He's just, the poor bloke's just so low in confidence. I haven't seen anything like that since Torres came.
There's the pressure.
I still have faith in Werner, because I think the way he plays, he does do some good stuff, and he's clearly talented. He's just going through a slump. When he took that penalty the other day, I was like, yeah, that's just.
I'm just grateful we did not ship out 50+ million and 200k plus a week for him, and instead used that money to buy Jota and Thiago. I'm happy.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, but obviously, you wouldn't have been able to tell that at the time.
No, all signs were saying that was a good get. These things.
To be honest, he might have gone into Liverpool and done all right. It's just it's the Chelsea curse with strikers.
It also is, like I say, I said it time and time again when we were talking about it before. Coming from a different league to the Premier League, first season, you rarely see players like Salah hit the ground running. But if you remember, he's not exactly someone who's brand new to the Premier League. He played here before, albeit early at Chelsea. But you rarely see players come fresh into the Premier League from a top league, from another league.
No, it never. I tell you, it never happens at Chelsea. The only exception I can think of who really hit the ground running was probably Juan Mata. That's the only exception I can think of for Chelsea.
I'm trying to think if there's any others.
Even Hazard, it took a bit of time. Not long, to be fair, but a bit of time.
Pulisic has been hit or miss for you, because sometimes he looks brilliant, other times he looks.
Yeah, he's been pretty average lately.
But that's the point.
As for the Quetta, he was good, to be fair.
Sometimes Pulisic is the best player on the pitch, and sometimes he just isn't even there.
I don't think he's done well since. He's made of glass, so he keeps getting injured. But he hasn't at this season. He hasn't hit the heights that he did after the lockdown. When Project Restart.
You're preaching to the choir when talking about players made of glass.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up. We've got Matt's thoughts on the sacking of Frankie Frank and the new replacement in Thomas Tuchel. And
I hope Frank comes back in 10 years.
We're going to see how Chelsea do for the season. The season's still very close. Chelsea right now are currently, I believe, 9th, but you couldn't really count them out of the top 4 space, realistically.
It's too tight. Everybody's losing to everybody.
Yeah. I will say that
might run away with it. It's a bit scary.
I still say that I think the top 2 positions are probably going to be City and Liverpool.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
There's a scary thought that City might run away with it, but then I'd rather that than Liverpool or Spurs, so that's fine.
This Sunday will be a big game, Man City against Liverpool. I think that's bigger than it's been in the last few years. Since the season went down to a point, the game at the Etihad, I feel this is as big as that. Liverpool,
I'd agree.
And it's much tighter again. Because it's currently 4 points with City with the game in hand, so we'll have to see.
Yeah. We'll have to see. It's not looking great.
But that is everything for today. So make sure to check out the channel, Off the Woodwork Podcast. Give it a listen if you want, and subscribe. Stephen Hall will be back with us at some point in the future. Who knows? Matt Perry could disappear. We could all just be figments of imaginations.
I'm a very busy man nowadays.
Very busy, very busy. Take care.
Thank you.